July 25, 2026, 11:14 a.m. Persian Gulf. Greek-flagged oil tanker MT Poseidon transits international waters. Standard commercial shipping, standard route, standard everything about civilian vessel operations. Until Iranian Revolutionary Guard boats approach. Until IRGC commandos board tanker. Until crew is held hostage. Until international incident begins. Iranian forces seize control. Claim vessel carrying contraband. Claim legal authority for boarding. Claim everything, justifying takeover. Greek crew protests. Ship owner demands release. International community condemns seizure. Everything suggesting Iranian aggression. Everything appearing to be illegal boarding. Everything seeming like standard IRGC intimidation in Persian Gulf. U.S. Navy destroyer USS Michael Murphy responds. Arrives on scene. Demands Iranian withdrawal. Demands crew release. Demands tanker freedom. 8-hour standoff follows. 8 hours of tense confrontation. 8 hours where American warship faces Iranian commandos. Where international crisis develops. Where potential combat looms. Eventually, Iranians withdraw. Eventually, commandos depart tanker. Eventually, crisis resolves without shots fired. That's immediate outcome. That's surface-level resolution. That's what appears to be American diplomatic victory. Iranian backing down. IRGC retreating. Crisis ending peacefully. But investigation reveals more. Reveals tanker cargo wasn't legitimate petroleum. Reveals oil was sanctioned, Iranian crude. Reveals fake documentation hiding illegal cargo. Reveals Greek tanker was smuggling Iranian oil. That's strategic revelation. That's intelligence proving Iranian seizure was actually enforcing theft. Was IRGC stopping smuggling of their own sanctioned oil? Was Iran catching smugglers using their petroleum illegally? That transforms understanding completely. That changes illegal seizure into enforcement action. That proves Iranians were actually stopping theft while appearing to be aggressors. That's ironic truth. That's strategic intelligence. That's complete reversal of initial assessment. That Iranian commandos weren't seizing innocent tanker, were stopping smugglers stealing sanctioned oil, were enforcing Iranian interests despite international condemnation. That's everything about July 25th being more complex than initial reports, more nuanced than surface assessment, more revealing about sanctions evasion networks, about smuggling operations, about Iranian responses. That's complete truth. That's July 25th, 2026. MT Poseidon is medium-sized tanker, 20,000-ton capacity, Greek registry, commercial operation, standard shipping vessel, everything appearing legitimate, everything suggesting normal petroleum transport. Crew is multinational, captain is Greek, officers are European, crew is Filipino, standard commercial shipping composition, standard international maritime operations, standard everything about vessel operations. Cargo manifest claims petroleum from legitimate Middle Eastern sources, claims standard commercial transaction, claims everything proper. That's documentation. That's official records. That's what authorities see. But investigation reveals falsification, reveals documentation hiding true cargo source, reveals oil is sanctioned Iranian crude, reveals elaborate smuggling operation. That's systematic sanctions, evasion. That's professional falsification. That's everything proving tanker wasn't innocent victim, was participant in smuggling, was carrying stolen Iranian oil under fake documentation. That transforms assessment. That changes victim into smuggler. That proves Iranian seizure had basis, had justification, had everything except international authority. That's complex truth. That's nuanced reality. That's proving situation isn't simple aggression versus innocence. Iranian enforcement versus sanctions evasion. Is IRGC stopping theft versus international shipping rights? Everything complicated. Everything nuanced. Everything requiring understanding beyond initial reports. Iranian Revolutionary Guard operates professionally. Commandos, a trained force. Specialized maritime units. Experienced boarding operations. Standard IRGC capability. Standard Revolutionary Guard methodology. Standard everything about Iranian military operations in Gulf. Boarding occurs swiftly, efficiently, professionally. Commandos secure vessel within minutes. Control crew without violence. Everything executing according to training. Everything demonstrating professional capability. Not random aggression. Calculated operation. Not spontaneous action. Planned enforcement. Everything about Iranian operation being deliberate, being targeted, being based on intelligence about tanker cargo, about smuggling operation, about sanctions evasion. That's proving IRGC new. New tanker carried Iranian oil. New documentation was false. New smuggling was occurring. That's intelligence-driven operation. That's proving Iranian forces tracked tanker, identified cargo, planned interdiction. Everything systematic. Everything professional. Everything proving IRGC maritime operations are sophisticated. Are intelligence supported. Are executing missions based on knowledge about sanctions evasion networks. That's capability exceeding assumptions. That's professionalism exceeding typical assessments. That's Iranian military demonstrating systematic operations against smuggling, against sanctions evasion, against theft of national resources. That's complete operational picture. U.S. Navy destroyer responds to distress call, responds to reports of seizure, responds to international incident. Standard American naval operations. Standard protecting commercial shipping. Standard everything about destroyer deployment. USS Michael Murphy is Arleigh Burke class. Advanced warship. Professional crew. Experienced Gulf operations. Commander Sarah Mitchell leads ship. 38 years old. 15 years Navy service. Experienced officer. Professional leader. She responds to crisis professionally. Positions destroyer near tanker. Demands Iranian withdrawal. Standard diplomatic pressure. Standard naval presence. Standard everything about American response. Mitchell communicates with IRGC forces. Demands crew release. Demands explaining seizure basis. Standard procedures. Standard international maritime protocols. Standard everything about crisis management. Iranians refuse withdrawal. Refuse explaining basis. Refuse everything except maintaining control. That creates standoff. That produces 8-hour confrontation. That generates international crisis. Mitchell maintains position, maintains pressure, maintains communication. Everything designed for peaceful resolution. Everything avoiding escalation. Everything seeking diplomatic solution. That's professional naval operations. That's mature crisis management. That's American military executing policy objectives through presence and pressure rather than force. That's complete response methodology. 8-hour standoff tests everyone. Tests American patience. Tests Iranian determination. Tests diplomatic channels. Everything about confrontation being serious, being dangerous, being potentially escalatory. Mitchell coordinates with higher command, receives guidance, maintains communication discipline. Everything professional, everything controlled, everything designed for crisis management. Never threatening force unnecessarily, never escalating beyond environments, never creating additional tensions, just maintaining presence, just demanding release, just executing policy directives. That's professional naval operations under pressure. That's commander managing crisis effectively. That's destroyer crew maintaining readiness while pursuing diplomatic resolution. Hours pass slowly. Tensions remain high. Neither side backs down. Neither side escalates. Stalemate develops. That's crisis reality. That's standoff truth. Not dramatic breakthroughs. Not cinematic resolutions. Just sustained tension. Just professional forces maintaining positions. Just waiting for diplomatic progress. That's 8 hours of reality. That's confrontation truth. That's what international incidents actually involve. Not action movie scenarios. Professional military forces maintaining positions while seeking peaceful resolution. That's complete crisis management picture. Eventually, Iranians withdraw. Eventually, commandos depart tanker. Eventually, crisis concludes peacefully. No shots fired. No casualties. No escalation. Just Iranian withdrawal after 8 hours. Just crisis resolution through sustained pressure. Just peaceful conclusion after tense standoff. That appears to be American victory. Appears to be Iranian backing down. Appears to be diplomatic success through naval presence. That's initial assessment. That's surface understanding. That's what immediate reporting suggests. American destroyer forced Iranian withdrawal. American presence secured crew release. American military achieved policy objective. Everything appearing straightforward. Everything suggesting clear success. Everything seeming simple. Until investigation. Until examining tanker cargo. Until discovering sanctions evasion. Until revealing smuggled oil. Until understanding Iranian seizure had basis, had justification, had intelligence foundation. That transforms assessment. That complicates success narrative. That proves situation was more nuanced. That Iranian withdrawal wasn't defeat, was calculated decision after making a point, after demonstrating capability, after proving knowledge about smuggling. That's strategic calculation. That's Iranian messaging. That's IRGC, demonstrating they know about sanctions evasion. They can interdict when choosing. They will enforce Iranian interests despite international pressure. That's complete truth about standoff resolution. Investigation begins after Iranian withdrawal. Greek authorities examine tanker, review cargo documentation, analyze petroleum samples. Everything standard post-incident procedures. Everything seeking understanding about seizure basis. Everything pursuing truth about Iranian claims. That's when discovery occurs. When cargo analysis reveals Iranian crude. When documentation proves falsification. When smuggling becomes evident. Samples match Iranian petroleum signatures. Documentation contains inconsistencies. Everything proving cargo is sanctioned oil. Everything demonstrating elaborate evasion scheme. That's intelligence revelation. That's investigative success. That's proving Iranian seizure wasn't random aggression, wasn't unprovoked action, was enforcement against smuggling, was interdiction of sanctions evasion, was Iranian response to theft. That transforms understanding completely. That changes aggressor narrative into enforcement reality. That proves situation complexity. Investigation traces smuggling network, finds systematic operation, finds professional falsification, finds everything proving organized sanctions, evasion, multiple parties involved, multiple transactions, multiple vessels, everything suggesting comprehensive network smuggling Iranian oil, evading sanctions, generating revenue despite international restrictions. That's scale proving systematic problem. That's scope demonstrating professional operations. That's everything about smuggling being sophisticated enterprise, being organized network, being threatening Iranian interests through theft despite serving Iranian revenue needs through sales. That's complex reality. That's nuanced truth. Greek shipping company faces investigation, faces questions about cargo knowledge, faces accountability for sanctions evasion, standard legal procedures, standard enforcement actions, standard everything about responding to smuggling discovery. Company claims ignorance, claims deception by charterers, claims everything denying knowledge. That's standard defense. That's typical response. That's what investigation must evaluate. Determining knowledge, determining culpability, determining appropriate response. That's legal process. That's enforcement methodology. That's systematic investigation, seeking truth about responsibility, about knowledge, about intent. Everything complicated. Everything requiring thorough examination. Everything proving sanctions, evasion creates legal complexity, creates enforcement challenges, creates everything requiring professional investigation, determining facts about smuggling operation, about parties involved, about responsibility distribution. That's complete legal picture. That's enforcement reality. That's everything about sanctions evasion being serious crime requiring systematic response. Strategic implications are substantial, are proving sanctions evasion is systematic, are demonstrating Iranian oil reaches markets despite restrictions, are revealing professional smuggling networks. That's proving sanctions have gaps, have evasion methods, have everything enabling continued Iranian petroleum exports despite international efforts. That's uncomfortable truth. That's policy challenge. That's strategic problem. Sanctions intend preventing Iranian oil sales. Networks enable continued exports. Reality proves partial effectiveness. That's requiring response, requiring enhanced enforcement, requiring closing loopholes. That's policy implication. That's strategic requirement. That's operational necessity. Can't ignore systematic evasion. Can't dismiss professional smuggling. Can't overlook that Iranian oil continues reaching markets. Must enhance enforcement. Must improve monitoring. Must ensure sanctions achieve intended effects. That's comprehensive response requirement. That's policy adjustment necessity. That's strategic imperative flowing from July 25th discovery, from investigation revelation, from proving sanctions evasion is systematic problem requiring systematic response. That's complete policy picture. That's full strategic assessment. Iranian perspective reveals calculation, reveals strategic messaging, reveals demonstrating capability while avoiding escalation. IRGC boarding proves they know about smuggling, proves they can interdict, proves they will enforce interests. But withdrawal proves they avoid unnecessary confrontation, avoid direct US conflict, avoid escalation beyond messaging. That's strategic calculation. That's sophisticated approach. That's proving Iranian operations serve multiple purposes. Enforcement messaging, capability demonstration, strategic restraint, everything combined, everything calculated, everything proving IRGC operations are professional military actions, are strategically guided, are serving policy objectives beyond immediate tactical goals. That's mature military thinking. That's sophisticated operational approach. That's everything about Iranian forces operating professionally despite international condemnation, despite appearing aggressive, despite seeming provocative, actually conducting calculated operations serving strategic interests. That's complete Iranian perspective. That's understanding their calculation. That's recognizing operational sophistication despite disagreeing with methods. American response demonstrates naval capability, demonstrates crisis management, demonstrates achieving objectives through presence rather than force. That's professional military operations. That's mature application of power. That's everything about destroyer deployment, producing desired outcome, securing crew release, resolving crisis peacefully, achieving policy objectives. Everything without shots fired. Everything through sustained presence. Everything proving American naval power works through deterrence and pressure rather than requiring combat. That's strategic success. That's policy achievement. That's operational effectiveness. Mitchell and crew performed professionally, managed crisis effectively, achieved mission successfully. That's worthy of recognition. That's deserving acknowledgement. That's demonstrating American naval excellence. But complexity remains. Remains understanding Iranian action had basis. Remains recognizing smuggling was occurring. Remains acknowledging situation nuance. That's mature assessment. That's sophisticated understanding. That's recognizing that international incidents are complex, are nuanced, are requiring understanding beyond simple narratives. That's complete professional analysis. That's full strategic assessment. Intelligence sharing and follows discovery. Allied nations informed. Sanctions evasion revealed. Smuggling networks exposed. Everything enabling coordinated response. Enabling enhanced enforcement. Enabling systematic approach to closing evasion loopholes. That's professional international cooperation. That's intelligence community coordination. That's ensuring everyone understands sanctions challenges. Everyone recognizes evasion sophistication. Everyone coordinates improved enforcement. That's comprehensive response. That's coordinated action. That's professional approach to systematic problem. Not just American concern. International challenge. Not isolated incident. Systematic evasion requiring systematic response. That's everything about July 25th, discovery enabling improved enforcement, enabling coordinated action, enabling closing gaps that enable continued Iranian oil exports despite sanctions. That's strategic benefit. That's policy value. That's operational advantage from uncomfortable revelation, from discovering smuggling, from understanding sanctions limitations, everything enabling improvement, everything producing enhanced effectiveness, everything transforming incident into enforcement advancement. Maritime industry faces increased scrutiny, faces enhanced verification requirements, faces everything ensuring legitimate cargo documentation. That's industry impact. That's commercial consequence. That's systematic response to smuggling discovery. Not punishing legitimate shipping. Preventing future evasion. Not restricting commerce. Ensuring compliance. Everything about enhanced enforcement, protecting legitimate operations while preventing illegal smuggling. That's balanced approach. That's professional regulation. That's systematic improvement enhancing sanctions effectiveness while minimizing commercial disruption. That's complete industry response. That's full regulatory adjustment. July 25th teaches complex lessons, teaches about sanctions evasion sophistication, teaches about enforcement challenges, teaches about international incident complexity. Everything proving situations are nuanced, are complicated, are requiring understanding beyond initial reports. That Iranian seizure had basis despite lacking authority. That American response achieved objectives despite complexity. That smuggling networks are systematic despite sanctions. Everything complicated, everything nuanced, everything requiring mature assessment. That's complete truth. That's full understanding. That's everything about July 25th, 2026. That's forever.